All right, time for another episode of the Josh Cast. Terrible today. Awful. Depression level 10, baby. Had an awful open mic experience yesterday. Utterly awful. I just totally tanked it. I was just up there and vaguely sad as opposed to having anything funny to say and just kind of spiraling into a depression on the stage as opposed to having a plan. And I think that what's frustrating is I don't feel like I'm playing to the top of my intelligence. And I think that, and I want to, at the very least, if I'm going to, crash and burn, I want it to be crashing and burning while attempting to say something intelligent, as opposed to trying to be funny for the sake of being funny, or falling back on my tricks, which I think work if it's a hot crowd, but don't when it's a cold open mic, which is why I go to the cold open mic, to remind me that I need to work harder. So I'm in that mood where if anybody does anything on my commute that pisses me off, they are wrong and bad, and they are at fault. What's going on with that guy over there with the dog? That's got to be an actor. Successful actor? I don't know. Does it matter? He's in the arts. I can tell he's got that arts energy. Probably has seduced somebody using a guitar. That's the vibe I get from that guy. But maybe I'm avoiding really talking about... Oh, and I ate cookies yesterday, so my bowels are tying knots today. Why did I eat cookies? Depression. Had to go to a party yesterday. I hate parties. I don't like getting in the mood. Being joyous. I'm not a fan of it. You know what I like the older I get? I'll tell you what I like. I'll tell you what brings me joy. Being proven right. Being able to say, I told you so. That, for me, is more fun at this point than any party. More fun than laser tag. That's just being able to say, I told you so. Nothing is better than that. Nothing is better than sitting back in pure judgment of another human being who was so sure they were right and is now wrong. Nothing is better. Nothing is better than that. That's what I want for Christmas, Mommy. Just a list of all the ways I'm right. Handwritten, as long as it's legible and I can make it out. Doesn't even need to be typed. The thing about the depression I'm suffering from here, which I guess I have to admit is self-inflicted, because there are steps that I can take and that people tell me to take to help me with the depression. That I should go to a therapist. That I should socialize more. That I should exercise. That I should meditate. And that if I do all these things, I will feel better. And I have done all these things. And I do not feel better. I feel, at best, a little bit more distracted. So, P.S., I just made that dick move where I'm in the middle of an intersection and this person is trying to make a left turn and I'm in their way. I take full responsibility for that. Because I'm in rushing mode. I'm rushing so I can get to the coffee shop So I can write the same variations of the same 20 jokes I write every day, which are, I'm depressed, I have a small penis. Which is the title of my next album. And what I'm trying to figure out is, should it be, I'm depressed and I have a small penis, or I'm depressed, semicolon, I have a small penis? Which one more accurately reflects where I'm at? I think I'll run a focus group, see what the good people at the focus group say about that. 9 out of 10 agree. Go with the semicolon. I just don't feel like any of these avenues, therapy, exercise, socializing, it's important to develop very strong social networks and have the kind of support structure in your life. That's the book I'm reading a book on depression right now. And the guy is saying, well, we used to be hunter-gatherer tribes, and we relied on each other. And the sheer irony of all of this is that so much of what I'm after in my life is freedom and the ability to not rely on other people. And that it should be this paradox that what I seek is also potentially one of the principal causes of my depression. Does the book talk about depression stemming from being around other people? That the other people are driving me into depression? Does the book explain that part of it? That conundrum? Does the book suggest, or does the book examine how when someone is told you should be in a relationship, that'll help, and then you're in a relationship and the relationship is awful, and you're just as depressed and lonely as when you were lonely and alone? What does the book say about that, I ask you? I can't ask you, I should be asking the book. I just don't feel that any of these avenues that I'm being told to do are going to help, because at various points I've tried them before. The only thing that helps a little bit is the meditation. Maybe I have to do them all at the same time. But even if I'm doing them all at the same time, even if I'm in a better state of mind, or even if I'm not overtly depressed, I still feel like there's something underneath, an underlying sadness that feels like the truth, and that joy, and that those moments of positivity are transient and fleeting. And that what is underneath them, the truth, the horrible truth, is eternal. I think I'm describing Judaism, but don't quote me. And it could be that belief in and of itself is the disease. And that if I let that belief go, I will perhaps let the disease go. And then I have to ask myself, why am I holding on to the belief? What about the belief is protective? I think if I always stay at rock bottom, then I'll never lose anything. If I got nothing, I got nothing to lose. Because where I've really experienced depression in the past is hoping to get something and then not getting it. Therefore, could it be argued that hope indirectly is a cause of depression? And that by extinguishing hope and accepting the depression as it is, though I may not be able to achieve joy, or rather for lack of a better term, American sense of joy, I will be at least better able to endure the misery that is life. I should totally write a self-help book. I want the title of my self-help book to be, "It Could Be Worse, and It Will Be." I can't help but think of the phrase, "This too shall pass." And the notion that good or bad, good things, bad things, they're like clouds. Sooner or later, they drift by, for better or worse. Maybe that's the ultimate point. It's all transient. It's all impermanent. So to be attached either way to the good things or to the bad things is illogical. I'm getting very heady in this podcast and accomplishing absolutely nothing in the process. I think that was the theme of Zorba the Greek, which I read part of. You got the two, one's the intellectual and the other one is Zorba the Greek. And Zorba's out, being with the ladies and drinking and carousing. And much happier than the intellectual. Same with that Hermann Hesse book, Narcissus and Goldmund. One of them was the intellectual, the other one was the hedonist, for lack of a better term. And the intellectual did outlive the hedonist, but was depressed. I don't know what to tell you. What I will say is that I know I want to talk to somebody, but I don't want it to be a therapist. I guess I want that experience. I want to be able to grieve for my cousin. That's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to do it with somebody. But it has to be the right somebody, and I don't know who that person is yet. Grieving. That's what I'm not doing. I feel like I need to get it out of the body, out of my body. The question is, how? How do I process it? How do I get it out? I mean, I will never get it out, but how do I express it? That's the $64,000 question. Times like this, I wish I were a painter, because I could just throw it all on the canvas and then sell it, and it would end up in an apartment in Manhattan. Two people looking at it. Well, what does this represent? I'm not sure, but I like the lines. Why is this guy crossing the street like that? What do you do? I guess they just get to the point. Well, what are they going to do? Hit me? Because nobody wants to take the trouble to walk to the crosswalks. We are a continent of lazy bums. I think I can't stand these wide trucks. Take up the entire lane. Not a fan. I don't care that things need to be fixed, that things need to be done. They're too wide. And I have a depth perception problem. Ugh, my stomach feels awful. Truly awful. Hopefully it'll clear up a little later today. And maybe I'll finally learn my lesson and not eat crap. And now you know what, the other thing, I'm really in my head. Back to the stand-up for a second. I'm really in my head. And I'm censoring myself. Is that what it means to be in my head? I'm censoring myself. Like, because there was a thought I had in that silence where I was like, oh man, I'm really not being entertaining right now. But what does that even mean? I haven't even published this yet. I may not publish this. And already, I am jumping ahead to somebody listening to it. I'm assuming that Seinfeld is going to listen to it, which in and of itself is ridiculous. And then he's going to go, what is this podcast? There's nothing here. I'm not being in the present moment, watching that crow, which crows are creepy. And I don't mean to offend the crow, but man. Crows are creepy. I wonder if we're like that to certain animals. I wonder if we're creepy to the crows. I mean, we should be. We're destroying the earth, for goodness sake. I'm just not sure what to make of all of that. There's another wide truck. You and your wide trucks. Tired of the wide trucks. I am tired of the wide trucks. And I don't know why, but I feel the urge to say that with a southern accent. I really, really feel the urge to say that with a southern accent. I do. I cannot understand why I continue to make bad food decisions. I don't feel like I've left this podcast with answers. I feel like I have more questions. It feels like that episode of The X-Files where they just keep making the mystery bigger and deeper. And you're like, where's this going to go? What do you mean she's pregnant? Who impregnated her? Oh, now you were saying it was that guy? Stop retconning! Okay, well, that's the end.